Just keep him comfortable, my mother said, adjusting Marcus's pillow one last time. The nurse will check in tomorrow. We'll be back Monday. Hi everyone, my name is Ethan Parker. And that was 3 months after my brother's accident. 3 months of watching him lie there, motionless. The doctors saying he'd probably never wake up. Mom kissed his forehead. Dad squeezed my shoulder. Then they were gone, and I was alone with the brother I hadn't spoken to in 5 years before the crash. The house felt different at night. Bigger. Every creak seemed louder. I sat in the living room, laptop open, trying to focus on work emails. Around midnight I heard it. A soft thud from upstairs. From Marcus's room, I froze. Listened. Nothing. Just the wind, I told myself. Old house settling. But then, another sound. Deliberate. Like something being moved. I climbed the stairs slowly, heart pounding in my ears. His door was slightly open. The bedside lamp cast shadows across the room. Marcus lay exactly where I'd left him 2 hours ago. Same position. Same blank expression. The machines beeped their steady rhythm. But his wheelchair was in a different spot. I was certain of it. It had been by the window. Now it sat near the closet, angled differently. I'm losing it, I thought. Grief does strange things. I adjusted the chair back, checked his vitals like the nurse taught me, and went to bed. The next morning, I woke to silence. No beeping. I bolted upstairs. The machines were unplugged. Not knocked over. Carefully unplugged. Marcus lay there, same peaceful expression, but his right hand was in a different position. I'd left it on his stomach. Now it rested at his side. My hands shook as I plugged everything back in. Maybe I'd moved him during the night check and forgotten. Stress. Exhaustion. I'd been sleeping poorly. But that night I couldn't sleep at all. I sat in the hallway, door cracked, watching. At 2:47 a.m., I saw movement. Marcus's fingers twitched. Then his hands slowly, deliberately reached toward the bedside table. He pulled the drawer open. Quiet. Practiced. Like he'd done it before. I stopped breathing. He felt around inside, searching for something. Not finding it, he closed the drawer just as carefully and returned his hand to his side. His eyes never opened. His expression never changed. I waited until his breathing settled back into its regular pattern. Then I stood up. The floor creaked. I watched through the crack as his body went completely still. Too still. Like someone holding their breath. Marcus? I called softly. Nothing. I pushed the door open, turned on the overhead light. He lay there, same as always. But I knew what I'd seen. I spent the next day installing cameras. Small ones, hidden, motion activated. I told myself I was being paranoid, but I needed to know. I couldn't tell Mom and Dad. Not yet. Not without proof. That night, I pretended to go to bed early. Lights off. Door closed. But I was in the garage, laptop open, watching the camera feed. At 1:15 a.m., Marcus opened his eyes. Just like that. No confusion. No disorientation. He sat up, swung his legs over the bed with perfect control, and stood. He moved like someone who'd never been in a coma. Fluid, confident. He went straight to the closet, started searching through boxes on the top shelf. I watched, frozen, as my brother, who'd been paralyzed from the waist down, climbed onto a chair to reach the highest shelf. He found a small box, opened it, and swore under his breath. Whatever he was looking for wasn't there. He pulled out his phone from under the mattress. I hadn't even known there was a phone. He typed something, waited, then held it to his ear. "It's not in his room either," he whispered. "I've checked everywhere upstairs. Mom must have moved it." Pause. He listened. "No, he doesn't suspect anything. Kid's clueless. 3 months playing dead and he still brings me soup like I'm actually unconscious." My stomach turned. The lawyer said we have until next week before the will reading. If I don't find that codicil before then, Ethan inherits everything. The house, the business, the offshore accounts, everything Grandpa built. He laughed quietly, and it was a sound I'd never heard from him before. Cold, calculated. I'm not going to prison over some securities fraud. The COMA story bought me time. Now, I just need that document, and I can destroy it before anyone knows it exists. Then we split everything 50-50 like the original will said. I pay off my debts, and disappear. I stopped the recording. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely hold the laptop. Marcus wasn't in a coma. He'd never been in a coma. The accident had been real, the hospital stay had been real, but somewhere along the line, he'd woken up and decided to keep pretending. Why? Because he was running from something. And because he wanted Grandpa's inheritance. I thought about confronting him right then. Storming upstairs. demanding answers. But something stopped me. If he was desperate enough to fake a coma for 3 months, what else was he capable of? I needed to know more. I needed to know who he was talking to, what his real plan was. And I needed that codicil before he found it. The next morning, I played the dutiful brother. Brought him breakfast, adjusted his pillows. Read him the newspaper like I'd been doing. His eyes stayed closed, but I saw the tiny muscle twitch in his jaw when I mentioned the upcoming will reading. Mom called, I said casually. Said the lawyer wants to meet next Friday. Something about Grandpa's estate. They want both of us there. Another twitch. His heart rate monitor spiked slightly. Don't worry, brother, I continued, patting his hand. I'll make sure you're comfortable. The lawyer said he can come here if needed. I left the room and immediately called Mom. Where did you put Grandpa's papers? I asked. The ones from the safe? In my closet. Top shelf. Blue box. Why? Just curious about something Grandpa mentioned once. Mind if I look through them? Of course not, honey. They're yours now anyway. Well, yours and Marcus's. I found the box. Inside were dozens of documents. Property deeds. Stock certificates. Bank statements showing accounts I didn't know existed. And at the bottom, in a sealed envelope marked Codicil to Last Will and Testament, to be read only in presence of both grandsons. My hands shook as I opened it. Grandpa's handwriting covered 3 pages. I read it twice. Then a third time. It wasn't just an inheritance. It was a confession. Grandpa had known about Marcus's fraud. Had known for months before he died. This codicil changed everything. If Marcus was found guilty of the securities fraud Grandpa described in detail, with dates and evidence, he would be disqualified from inheriting anything. Everything would go to me, with the instruction to use part of it to compensate Marcus's victims. But there was more. Grandpa suspected Marcus might try to hide or destroy this document, so he'd made 3 copies. One with his lawyer. One in the safe deposit box. And one hidden somewhere only I would find it, with a clue written at the bottom. Where we used to hide from your grandmother's lectures. I smiled despite everything. The treehouse. Grandpa and I had built it together when I was 8. Marcus had always been too cool to join us. I hadn't been up there in 15 years. I put the codicil back in the envelope, sealed it, and placed it exactly where I'd found it. Then I went outside. The treehouse was exactly as I remembered, just weathered. I climbed up, finding handholds from muscle memory. Inside, protected in a waterproof box, was the 3rd copy. Now I had leverage. But I needed to know who Marcus was working with. Who was the person on the phone? And what was his endgame? That night I watched the cameras again. Marcus got up at his usual time, 1:15 a.m., but instead of searching, he made another phone call. I'm running out of time, he said. The kid's getting suspicious. He asked Mom about Grandpa's papers. Pause. No, I can't just leave. If I suddenly wake up right before the will reading, everyone will know something's wrong. The doctor said my recovery would take months. Longer pause. His expression darkened. I don't care what your boss wants. I'm not killing my own brother. The plan was to find the codicil, destroy it, and let things play out naturally. My blood went cold. I said no. There's got to be another way. He hung up. Sat on the edge of the bed, head in his hands. For a moment, he looked like the brother I remembered from childhood. Scared, lost. Then he straightened up, his face hardening again, and went back to pretending to be unconscious. I couldn't wait anymore. This was bigger than inheritance. Someone wanted me dead. The next morning, I drove to Grandpa's lawyer's office without telling anyone. Mr. Parker, the lawyer, Mr. Chen, looked surprised. I wasn't expecting you until next week. I need to know about the codicil, I said. And I need to know who else has been asking about it. His expression shifted. Professional calm replaced by concern. You know about that? I showed him the copy I'd found. He read it, then looked at me carefully. Your brother's business partner came to see me 2 weeks ago, he said. Said he was concerned about Marcus's medical bills. Wanted to know if there were any life insurance policies, any additional assets. I didn't tell him anything, of course. Attorney-client privilege. But he was very interested in whether your grandfather had made any recent changes to his will. What's his name? David Reeves. He runs an investment firm with your brother. Or ran. The SEC has been investigating them for the past 6 months. Everything clicked. Marcus hadn't just been hiding from the law. He'd been hiding from his partner. And now that partner was getting desperate. What happens if something happens to me before the will reading? I asked. Mr. Chen's face went pale. Everything would default to Marcus as the sole surviving heir. The codicil would still apply, But if you weren't around to testify about your grandfather's concerns, it would be much harder to prove Marcus's guilt. Without you, the evidence becomes circumstantial. And if something happens to both of us? Then the estate would be tied up in probate for years. Most of it would eventually go to creditors and the government. So that was the plan. Reeves wanted me dead so Marcus would inherit everything. Then he'd pressure Marcus to pay off the debts. And Marcus was caught in the middle, too deep to back out but not willing to commit murder. Yet, I need you to do something for me, I told Mr. Chen. And I need you to do it today. That evening, I waited until Marcus made his nightly call. But this time I was ready. At 1:15 a.m. he sat up as usual. Pulled out his phone. But before he could dial, I pushed open the door and turned on the lights. Hey, Marcus? He froze. For a second, genuine shock crossed his face. Then he recovered, slumping back against the pillows, eyes closing, pretending I'd caught him in some kind of sleep action. Cut it out, I said calmly. I've been watching you for 4 nights. I know you're awake. I know about the fraud. I know about Reeves. And I know about the codicil. His eyes opened slowly. He looked at me with an expression I couldn't quite read. How long have you known? Long enough. The question is, how long were you planning to keep this up? He sat up fully, running a hand through his hair. Without the pretense of unconsciousness, he looked exhausted. Older than his 37 years. The coma wasn't fake at first, he said quietly. I really was unconscious after the accident. For about 2 weeks. Then I woke up, and the doctor was talking to Reeves in the hallway. I heard Reeves say that if I didn't wake up soon, he'd have to handle things himself. That's when I realized he was going to kill me. So you kept pretending. So I kept pretending. Bought myself time to figure out what to do. I knew about Grandpa's codicil. I knew if I didn't find it and destroy it, I'd go to prison. But I also knew if I woke up, Reeves would make his move. He laughed bitterly. I was trapped. So I just stayed asleep. And now? Now Reeves is getting impatient. He's been calling every night. Threatening me. Threatening you. He's in too deep with some bad people, Ethan. The kind who don't accept excuses. If he doesn't get that money, they'll kill him. And he'll take both of us down first. Why didn't you just tell someone? Tell the police? With what evidence? I destroyed most of it. That's why the codicil matters so much. It's the only thing left that proves what we did. If that comes out, I don't just lose the inheritance. I lose everything. My freedom. My future. But if you died and I inherited, I could pay Reeves off and disappear. That's what he wants. That's what he's been pushing me to arrange. But you haven't? No. He met my eyes. You're my brother, Ethan. I've done a lot of terrible things. Stolen. Lied. Defrauded people out of millions. But I won't kill you. That's the line I won't cross. Noble of you? Don't. His voice cracked. Don't act like I'm some kind of hero. I've thought about it. God help me. I've thought about how easy it would be. You trust me. You've been taking care of me. One pillow over your face while you sleep. One push down the stairs. Reeves even offered to do it himself. Make it look like an accident. The room felt very cold. But every time I think about it, he continued, I remember when we were kids. When Dad lost his job and you gave me half your birthday money so I could still go on the school trip. When I got jumped in high school and you broke Tommy Henderson's nose even though he was twice your size. You've always had my back, little brother. Even when I didn't deserve it. You don't deserve it now, I know. But I'm asking anyway. Help me, please? There's got to be a way out of this that doesn't end with one of us dead or in prison. I looked at my brother. Really looked at him. Saw the fear. The desperation. And underneath it all, something I hadn't seen in years. Remorse. There might be, I said slowly. But you have to trust me. And you have to do exactly what I say. Anything. First, who else knows you're awake? Just Reeves? And his employers. Whoever he owes money to. Good. Then here's what we're going to do. I spent the next 2 days setting everything up. Mr. Chen filed the codicil with the court, officially entering it into record. I made copies. Lots of copies. Put them in safe deposit boxes at 3 different banks. Gave one to Mr. Chen. Sent one to a journalist who specialized in financial crimes, and kept one in the treehouse, just in case. Then I called a friend from college who was now an FBI agent. Remember how you said if I ever needed anything? I asked. I need something. Wednesday night. Marcus made his usual call to Reeves. But this time, it was scripted. I found the codicil, Marcus said. In Mom's closet. I've got it, finally. Destroy it. Tonight? Not yet. Ethan's been asking questions. If it suddenly disappears, he'll know. We need to wait until after the will reading. Make it look like it was never there to begin with. I'm done waiting, Marcus. My people are done waiting. Either you handle your brother, or I will. Give me until Friday. The will reading. Ethan will be there, distracted. I'll destroy the codicil then. And if you want Ethan gone, make it look natural. An accident. Not connected to us. Friday. Reeves agreed. But that's it. No more delays. Marcus hung up and looked at me. I nodded. The FBI agent in the van outside gave a thumbs up through the window. Everything was being recorded. Friday came. The will reading was scheduled for 2 p.m. at Mr. Chen's office. Marcus and I arrived in the medical transport van, with Marcus in his wheelchair, still playing the part. Mom and Dad met us there, worried and hopeful. The doctor said he showed some response this morning, Mom said, squeezing my hand. Maybe he's finally waking up. I smiled. Maybe. Reeves arrived 15 minutes late, all charm and fake concern. So, sorry to hear about Marcus. How's he doing? The same, I said. But we're hopeful. Mr. Chen began reading the will. The original version. As expected. Everything split 50-50 between Marcus and me. Reeves relaxed visibly, then Mr. Chen paused. However, there is a matter of a codicil that was filed with the court this week. Reeves went very still. A codicil that details certain irregularities in Marcus Parker's business dealings, along with evidence that could prove quite problematic. That's ridiculous. Reeves stood up. You can't just... We can, I said quietly. And we did. The door opened. FBI agents filed in. The lead agent I'd been working with stepped forward. David Reeves, you're under arrest for conspiracy to commit murder, securities fraud, wire fraud, and about 15 other charges. You have the right to remain silent. Reeves looked at Marcus, betrayal and rage warring on his face. You sold me out. After everything, Marcus finally opened his eyes, looking right at him. You threatened my brother. That's where I draw the line. As they took Reeves away, another agent approached Marcus. Mr. Parker, we'll need you to come with us as well. We have some questions about your involvement in the fraud. I know, Marcus said. He looked at me. I'm sorry, Ethan. For all of it. I know you are. They helped him to his feet. Mom gasped. Dad started to protest. I held up a hand. He's been awake for 3 months, I told them. There's a lot we need to talk about. But not here. Not now. Marcus turned back once as they led him away. Thank you, he mouthed. I nodded. I hadn't saved him from consequences. He'd still face charges. Still probably go to prison. But I'd saved him from becoming a murderer. From crossing that line he was so afraid of. And I'd kept him alive, which was more than Reeves would have done. Mr. Chen approached quietly. The codicil still stands. You inherit everything. But you know, your grandfather's instructions included a provision. You can choose to support your brother's legal defense. Even help him rebuild after prison, if you want. I know, I said. Grandpa was a smart man. He was. He knew exactly what kind of man Marcus was. But he also knew what kind of man you are. 3 months later, I visited Marcus in county jail while he awaited trial. He looked healthier somehow, clearer. Reeves cut a deal, he told me. Testified against his bosses. Named names. I'm getting offered a deal too. 15 years, probably out in 10 with good behavior. You going to take it? Yeah. I am. And Ethan? I meant what I said. About being sorry. I know that doesn't fix anything, but it's a start, I said. You've got a long road ahead. But when you get out, if you want to try to be brothers again, really be brothers, I'll be there. His eyes got wet. I don't deserve that. Probably not. But Grandpa left me enough money to do a lot of things. One of them is choosing what kind of man I want to be. And I choose to be the kind who doesn't give up on family. Even when they've given up on themselves. I stood to leave. Ethan? Marcus called. That thing you said to Reeves. About drawing a line. You drew a line too. You could have let them take me down completely. Could have kept quiet about my help. Why didn't you? I smiled. Because someone once told me that family means having someone's back, even when they don't deserve it. You taught me that, Marcus. A long time ago. I'm just returning the favor. As I walked out of the jail into the sunlight, I thought about everything that had happened. The betrayal. The fear. The choice to save a brother who'd been ready to let me die. It wasn't a perfect ending. Marcus would still go to prison. The money wouldn't bring back the people he'd defrauded. And our relationship would never be what it was before. But it was honest. And that was worth more than any inheritance. My phone buzzed. A text from Mom. Thank you for not giving up on him. Dad and I are proud of the man you've become." I looked back at the building where my brother sat. Probably scared, definitely alone, but alive and facing his mistakes instead of running from them. "You'll be fine, Marcus," I whispered. "And when you get out, we'll figure out what comes next. Together. Because that's what brothers do. Even the complicated ones. Even the broken ones. Even the ones who spent 3 months pretending to be in a coma to avoid facing their own choices. Sometimes the hardest line to draw isn't between right and wrong. It's between justice and mercy. Between punishment and redemption. Between giving up on someone and giving them one more chance to choose differently. I'd drawn my line. Marcus would have to draw his own. But at least now he'd have the time to do it. And maybe, just maybe, that was the real inheritance Grandpa had left us. Not money, not property. But the chance to choose what kind of men we wanted to become. Even if it took losing everything to figure it out.